Udruga AM već 2 godine radi na afirmaciji umjetnika čije prvenstveno djelovanje u animaciji, te ih afirmiramo i ohrabrujemo da djeluju i izvan filmskog platna i proširuju animaciju na galerijski prostor. U suradnji sa Animafestom organiziramo Okrugli stol na kojem ćemo vidjeti gdje se trenutno nalazi polje proširene animacije i kako vidimo budućnost djelovanja umjetnika izvan kinodvorana u nekim izložbenim situacijama. Zahvaljujući Animafestu gostit će nam biti Boris Labbé, prošlogodišnji pobjednik i nositelj Grand Prix nagrade Animafesta upravo, Cécile Noesser koja vodi MIYU galeriju, jedinu parišku galeriju koja se bavi isključivo animacijom, a proizašla je iz MIYU produkcije, te Stefan Stratil koji vodi ASIFinu galeriju u Beču, jednu galeriju izuzetno zanimljivog oblika. Uz njih domaći predstavnik je Šuljić, umjetnički direktor Animafesta i naš poznati animator.
Hello everybody. I don't see who is here, who is on the list that is not here. I think all of you should start with some beginnings of your work, so we can start from that.
Yeah, sure. I had this quote when we started the gallery, when I started to interest myself to animation and work around and about animation. As many of you, I think, I read this very famous sentence from McLaren, who said what is important in animation is not what is in each frame, but between the frames. I was thinking that with the gallery we was about to show exactly the opposite from what McLaren was saying, what is important, and for us what is on each frame is also very important, as we can notice when we just see any gorgeous pictures like this, which is from Šuljić.
It's an interesting process because you know that obviously in animation, especially with artists who are animating frame by frame, there are a lot of drawings, a bunch of drawings. But you'd be surprised when you are searching the good one, the drawings that works when it is still, when it doesn't move. There are very few of them who works. So it's very surprising, but the drawings that moves in animation are not are totally a different things from the good drawings when it's immobile.
So we will showcase still images, but we also have a catalogue of moving images, which means video art and installations from different artists. And the purpose of the gallery is to enhance graphic and plastic work from all these artists. And doing this, we want a lot of things. We would like to break the borders between different arts, because we think that it's such a shame that animation art is so little known from a broader audience, and also that each art is really in very precise boundaries, and such a gallery is here also to help animation art to go out of the festivals and very specific audience borders. We would like also to break the borders for each artist, because for some of them they are already working in very different spaces and with very different type of techniques and mediums, and the idea of the gallery is, of course, to show their animation art, but also their personal work, what they are doing in other fields, and to be a house for the animation directors, and also maybe for the artworks itself. They can be seen in very different places and in very different kind of experiences. For example, this is an installation who took place in New York in Times Square in January, and it's an extract who was made by Virgin Keaton from her movie I Cried for Life or Against Her, which is a 15 minutes feature who was selected in many festivals. And for this specific open air installation, she made a different version, shorter, and it took place in many different screens in Manhattan, all January.
You said you have idea of commercializing also the works or selling them, representing the artists. So how do you choose in terms of that and the techniques that are not meant, maybe some of them to last longer or to be used in this way?
Actually the commercial approach is interesting because it forces you to ask questions and to think about what place, what venue, what curatorial approach is better for each work of art. Considering the different type of works, there are certain artworks that we can sell because they are unique, original drawings, and some of them, from now, it's more interesting to rent them to venues because, for example, I don't know, for Sébastien Lodenbach's poetry film, so not this one, but video art collection of 4 movies from 2 minutes each. It's more interesting to propose it to museums, galleries, and other curatorial experiences as for rent.
We've already exhibited a multimedia exhibition with Michel and Uri Kranotz, with the VR installation on a movie called Nothing Happens, and the paintings who were related to this movie. So it was really connected because you could experience in a VR movie and installation the same characters as in the paintings. And so that one was very interesting.
Stefan, would you like to take the place of the computer and show what you have been doing at ASIFA for the last more than 10 years? And our host Cécile will show you the book. Maybe, Stefan, can I pass the books with you?
Yes, the book will be, there will be a presentation today at 6 in French Institute anyway, so about the book.
Can I ask a question?
Of course, it's all very...
Because I understood you tend to sell still pictures by Schwitzgebel or other artists, but what is with digital art? Will you sell prints, or will you sell or rent the whole film? What is the concept?
I only have one artist for the moment who is in this case, Virgin Keaton, and she proposed us to print big landscapes which are from her movie, but you never see it entirely in the movie. So it's not a GP, it's not a print of the movie itself.
Okay.
It's from the creation of the movie. I'm not sure if it's clear.
It's clear. Okay, so our concept is a bit different. This is the location we're in. Our place is much smaller. This is a big museum cluster, Museumsquartier in Vienna. And in there's a passage for alternative institutions and galleries that now became a kind of a micro gallery cluster, and our room looks like this. So it's called ASIFA Keil. In English it's Keil because it's under a staircase. It has this peculiar shape. And we had there in the last 11 years more than 100 exhibitions already. And each artist is confronted with this shape of the room that makes a normal exhibition impossible. And the only obligation the artists have is to combine animation and fine arts in the way they want to. So we have basic technical equipments like monitors, beamers, players, things like that. But the outcome of the exhibitions are very different. So some artists, they tend to fill the room up with a lot of things, others work very reduced. This artist, she scratched names of female artists into the covered walls, so you could watch the animation only through these tiny holes, and because the whole thing is also, it is in the public space, so there's a lot of tourists passing by and art interested people, so we also have to draw attention to the space. This is Robert Cécile, who projected his abstract animation on a moving plastic foil, a kind of a curtain as a back projection. So the screen and the animation was both in movement. Sometimes it's a work in progress, like here, where each day new ribbons were attached to the ceiling, so at the end of the exhibition the whole room was covered, and the animation was more and more difficult to see, the actual. Or projection mapping is used sometimes, so the techniques and the contents are completely up to the artists. We have access to the Artist in Residence program of the Museumsquartier once a year. Only we can invite one artist in residence to live for 2 months in the studios of the Museumsquartier, which are very, people like that very much because they appreciate this opportunity, and then the artist also can have an exhibition in our space.
Well, Austria has tradition of experimental animation and structural films, so people are maybe have more acceptance for extended forms of animation. And I think in the last 10 years there has been quite a change, also because of the technical revolutions, of digital change, evolutions. It's more things are possible now for not so much money. Like in the last years we had more and more artists doing map projections in our small, very specifically formed exhibition room. That was not possible 10 years ago.
But what is your experience when you ask them to expand their animation field?
Yeah, most of them are they are very positive. They think, great, exhibition, small place, let's do it. But only when they're confronted with the work, with the place itself, they find out, I can't hang something on the wall. When I want to project, everything is distorted, and they have to get a solution that is really site-specific, and that makes the exhibitions very unique and interesting.
So it's installation on demand. You always ask for an artist to create something especially for installation.
Mostly yes. Sometimes artists have already projects that only have to be adapted. But normally they create something or combine things or show a film and build that they have and build something around it or together with the film. Yeah, we hardly have people who just show a film and put some cells or artifacts around it. most of them, because it doesn't really appeals in this arrangement. Mostly they try to really connect the three-dimensional reality and together with the animation.
What do you think the main problems in presenting animation as an art form in a high arts, let's say? What would you see as the main problem there?
Wow, it's a complicated question, but I feel there is probably a problem with institutional problem, because of the world is really different. Like there is a cinema scene and the art scene is really separately. Like they never communicate sometimes. So I feel like mainly curators and museum from the art scene are really not so much interested by cinema or by cinema of animation, because also animation is quite not so much recognized inside the cinema scene also. So maybe animation is quite really underground art in a sense, no? When I start to study art, I choose to go in fine art school, because in this moment I was really not. I don't have any idea about animation. In fact, I really know only like the mainstream animation. And so I was, when I was young, I was always a drawer, but finally I come in fine art first. And I start to be really interested by video art. So in this moment, I feel like video art is not really well represented with animation. And it will be a good idea perhaps to go inside this world, new world, to try things with like time, drawings and sound. And so I go inside the animation school during 3 years. But after going inside the animation school, I start to be really interested by cinema. So I start to combine my cinema and experimental film, like new background with fine art experience. Coming from fine art, you can make a installation, video, you can make drawings. But I was mainly making drawings, and I was feeling a little bit to don't have enough space for communicate. And maybe the time and the sound really helped me to have this kind of new feelings of making art, and also try to expand my work in another way. So just after cinema school, I finally go directly to like the video art work to make this project Danse Macabre, and I was in the art residency with other artists, like contemporary artists, like painters, architects, composers, and I was working quite alone in this residency during 1 year. And finally, I have the chance to exhibit this project in the Cinémathèque of Montréal. So this was
possible, maybe, to see a little bit of this?
Yes. There's a sound from the computer. So basically, it's a loop, like it's an endless loop of 15 minutes inside the Bosch and Bruegel paintings. You can see it on my webpage of the. Sometimes when I do a film, when I finish, I'm exhausted and I don't want to do another film. I just need more time to have a new idea for film. But maybe I have an idea to like drawings ideas, exhibition ideas. So when you are a creator, you have to create. That's it. And so make a film, it's a creation, but also make an exhibition is also creation. And I feel if I try to do both.
Maybe now that we have you both here, how do you like the collaboration by the gallery and the artists? Now you can say everything you want to each other.
No, for the moment it's very easy because I stay in the comfort zone of the artist because we only choose existing drawings and we just pick a selection of drawings that are still existing or video art installations that you've already done, etc. But maybe in the future it's gonna become more complex and, of course, fascinating, because it could be also pieces on demand or things like that. It's really the 6 first months of the gallery, so everything is possible.
Everything in the future. Yes. And you, what do you think about the collaboration with the gallery?
Actually, we have a contract.
Okay.
But yeah.
Which is secret.
No, it's not secret, but just for comments, for example, when you want to collaborate with a gallery, you have to say what you want as an artist. So with Cécile, I say that in some part of the contract, I say I need to have some back. Like if you propose me an exhibition, I need to know what kind of space it is, what kind of material, because if the condition is not good, I prefer to not exhibit.
And now Daniel, just not to miss you, because we are, and if you have any question, please just join the conversation, because we will have the opening in 7 minutes.
Okay, so 7 minutes, Pecha Kucha. I will go back to Norman McLaren, because this is the problem. What do we exhibit in animation? Because it is a fact. I will claim something which she will not agree, that animators are not necessarily great drawers, because in animation the movement is the main thing, and if you see the single frames, very often the result, the drawing in motion, is much more better than the single pieces itself. So then one question is, what do you exhibit? But now, right now, since you're a new gallery, you can really pick up the artists which are great as a single frame and also in motion.
Yeah.
So that's easy work. So that's one thing. The other thing, who is paying the electricity bills, because we are all independent animators here, and it's nice to exhibit, but how do I pay my electricity bills? So maybe you can tell more. Is there any kind, like when you sell or try to sell the frames from your film, like does it work? Or
in fact, not so much, but I'm trying to sell some drawings. I have sold some ones, but no, it's not really like a big business, because animation drawing also, you have a lot of drawing, and there is not really a lot of amount of money you can make with this, because it's not really like a painting or you can sell it to a big collector.
Yeah.
So also because animation is not really organized by art scene, and I feel like you never see mostly you never see animation inside the art field. So there's a problem to go inside. I think inside the contemporary art scene for animation.
This is also one of the things I wanted to address, because if we are honest, we know that the art scene, the contemporary art scene, is not really taking animation seriously. So there are single person or single institutions who do, but so in general, I'm not sure about that. A lot of painters and all this kind of stuff are a little bit arrogant when we speak about animation. I think.
Because the number of frames which is produced during making film, because the market of contemporary art is based on the fact of the uniqueness of one piece, and in animation there are hundreds of drawings. So this is I think the main issue with the
yes. And then also, what do we exhibit? She said they are searching for this one single frame, which is the most representative. But as he is doing also, I did not the last film, because the last film was Coffee and Glass, so I don't have a proof that they made it. So if digital files go away, so the film never existed. The previous film, Transparency, where Martina was drawing, there is a bunch of drawings. It was on paper, and but it's layers. So each layer, a single layer, doesn't mean much, because you have a line. So then maybe if you put 5-6 layers together, then you get a nice picture. But like the singular, and then you show this idea of displaying them in a light box. That's a nice way to do that, but then still, and as you will say something, and then my experience, that's what I wanted to say, with the art gallery. First, in the last 10 years, there is more and more animations in art fairs. You can see this, but they are always exhibited on screens and some televisions, and I'm not sure how they sell it. I have no idea. But Johanna Freise, he knows her. We did one film together. She's a painter, so she has a gallery now, Thomann, in Innsbruck, which is one of the biggest Austrian galleries. And in one moment they asked us to make for their customers DVD with this film which we did. And they were selling this DVD like we burned the DVD in a computer, 100 pieces now. Give them with the cover, not printed but kind of photocopied.
Customized.
And they were selling it for €100 with one film. And we got €5,000.
Okay. So what was the
produce
percent?
it.
Okay,
That's 50-50, so I don't know, I guess you know that in most cases in galleries and painters it's 50-50. Sometimes it's different, but 50-50 is kind of usual. So for me, €100 for a DVD? What? But yes, we got the 5,000 back then. But yes, it's still, I hope you will succeed. This is a really hope, because this might open a window for animators to get some extra money to pay the electricity bills.
I also noticed that the installation work where animation is included is increasing in galleries and museums, and also in fine arts. Many artists have the problems that the works they produced are not pictures or screens that can be sold like in old times, so they have something fragile or digital. Yes, and mostly they produce artifacts, for example, a kind of making of or things that are connected to the artwork just for selling. That would be a possibility.
But I think there are two things that maybe this now idea of presenting animation that is also developing with the galleries and the initiatives will also maybe what we had as experience just make the artists / animators think about the ways of, so it's not only just the pre-production things that you can make, but to think of the gallery space or the ideas that can connect the animation field with this point. And also I wanted to say that this, what you said, the digital media, that then you have archived in collection. I think this is also the one thing that the curators and theoretician needs to do. It's like, and this part will help in terms of collecting and connecting and putting the information together.
It's challenging because we have to build a market which doesn't exist right now, and therefore we have to make like a cultural revolution, because animation is awfully too unknown, and it's a real shame, because we are really sitting on an artistic mine full of treasures. So we have to do this revolution in the minds. But at the same time, I feel a lot of good signs, even from the institution, which are more and more to have a look at this, to invite animation artists to show their pieces in some big institutions. And I'm also thinking about some art magazines who are more and more interesting in this field, and to open borders.
I think in the future we will not talk about animation anymore, or maybe in a different sense, or just in a historic sense. I think it will be just film, animation, art will be one complex thing that will grow together.
I propose we continue this talk maybe later. In 15 minutes we'll have an opening so we can share our experience. Okay, thank you very much.